Hey folks, all right, y'all are not used to seeing me on a Sunday evening. I think it's been a really long time since I've been here on a Sunday, but I wanted to just share something really quick with y'all about the word. I had this really great class that I'm doing my discipleship training. And so I was catching up a couple of students on their course, and we started to talk, and I'm like, man, I'm feeling this Periscope. And so I want to just share this real quick. I'm sending it to Twitter so that I could just post it. All right, cool. All right. Thank you guys for coming in the room. I promise you this is going to be quick. I am not usually here, as I said, on Sunday, but I wanted to just drop this. Hello, hey Beth, good to see you. I just wanted to drop this really quick. And so I want to make this statement to say that the Bible itself is always instructive. It is instructive. It is for us to follow our life. We're supposed to follow and receive direction and correction and proof and admonition and all everything. Kill anything, all the Amalekites. I want you to kill all of them. And he decided to keep the king and to keep back some animals so that he could sacrifice to God. So not everything that we read in the word is prescriptive, meaning prescribed. And so I wanted to just talk really quick about this. And so I'm going to amplify this a set of scriptures for you really quick. I was sharing with them how I am one that talks a lot about women in the Word, and I think there are some mighty women of God in the Bible. But I'm always one that I want to examine it with a critical eye for the examples of what have occurred and what's the history of these stories. So I want to talk to you really quick, and I've shared this before with many, and I was talking to them about the story of Ruth. And the story of Ruth and Boaz, we talk a lot about. And a lot of women who are still waiting for their Boaz to come, and they're looking for their Boaz. And I keep telling women, stop waiting on a Boaz. Let God send you the man of his choosing. Because what is so great about a Boaz? Is it because he had land? He had whatever. There are many men in the Bible that had land. I'd rather marry a Paul. I'd be more interested in marrying a Luke. I'm more interested, but I'm saying my point was this. There was something about the story, something about the way that Ruth and Boaz came together that always used to unnerve me. And so I'm just going to give you this real quick story about the story of Ruth. I'm going to take you back to her lineage. And here's what I want to say to us. Many times what we realize is that the Bible itself, like I said, it's not prescriptive. It is instructive. What God is really showing is that in the midst of the mistakes that we make, the things that we do or we fail to do correctly, the Lord is showing his redemptive pattern in our life. So when we look from all the way from Genesis to Revelation, what we see is the story of men and women who were coming to know God, who tried to know God, who tried to walk things out, but many of them made some mistakes. They missed the mark. Am I right about it? Now, aren't there some of you that missed the mark, that sometimes didn't get it all right, that made some mistakes along the way? Can we be honest about that? That we didn't all do everything right every single time? And so there's some men and women who've been in a place with God, but they've missed the mark. And so what God's word shows us is that his promises are still sure. And so through those situations and circumstances where we found ourselves in broken places, God said, my redemptive word comes to continue to save you. Listen, his word saves. And what does that mean? His word saves. It doesn't mean will save. It says saves, which is this continual process. His word is a saving thing. It's a continual thing. And so his word continues to come. And in the places where you've been, in the places where you've been broken, his word comes and speaks a new and better thing in your life. And so the word itself may not be something that's prescriptive, prescribed, meaning every single thing we see we should not do. We should not be like David. We should not be standing upon a roof when we should be out at war. Are you hearing me? Sometimes there's some places that we don't need to be. There's some places we don't need to go, but we find ourselves there when we should have been in the battle, but we're sitting on the sidelines. And if we're sitting on the sidelines, that's the only reason why we can look down and we can see Bathsheba. But if we had been in position, are you listening? If we had been in position, the right position that we were supposed to be in, we would have never saw Bathsheba in the first place. So sometimes we're out of alignment. We're out of position with God. We found ourselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so everything we read in the Bible is not for us to do. Some things are instructive about what not to do. But at the end of the day, even if we do make the mistake, God's word promises to come in and to redeem, to restore, right, to make over once again. That's what he promises. And so when we look at this word, all the time people say, Well, everything in the word, I'm going to follow every single thing in the word. Okay, so that means that you're just going to randomly kill family members. Didn't that happen in the Bible? Just randomly kill family members because you want to ascend to the throne. And so the next person in line, you just kill them off. Are we going to start doing that? No, so not everything is prescriptive. Bless you, prophet. Not everything is prescriptive, but it is for us, our instruction. But at the end of the day, I always tell people that this word of God is redemptive. It is restoring. It is reviving and renewing. His word promises that he's going to do that. So let me get this story really quick to you. So as I was talking about the story of Ruth and Boaz, I want to talk about lineage. I want to talk about this. And why do I want to talk about this? Bless you. I just need to say this because we're dealing in this hour with generational curses. Can I say it? There's some seeds that we've planted in seasons past, in our generations, mistakes that we made, things that we did that we thought that we had escaped from, but we find that it's our children or our children's children that are dealing with some of those things. It's coming up out of the ground, right? Listen, it's coming up out of the ground. There's some mistakes that we made, some things that we missed, and it's coming out of our generation. And so in this hour, we're being faced with those sins of our past. Right? So God's redemption is coming. Let me say this to you, that at the end of the day, the spirit of reconciliation is coming upon the earth. The spirit of reconciliation is right upon us. But before that season, I'm telling you, there shall be a shaking. There will be a shaking in your family tree. That's what's going to happen. Anything that is not founded upon the rock, that doesn't have roots that grow deep, will be shaken. That is what's happening. So relatives are going through, they're dealing with this issue and that issue. There's some brokenness in the family unit. There's parts of your family that y'all ain't talked in 20 years. There's some pieces of the puzzle that are not quite yet together. But let me tell you that in this season, God is beginning to breathe again into the earth, into his people. He's beginning to say, will you come together? He said, I'm beginning to put flesh on those bones again, and those bones shall live. Yes, those dry bones shall live. And that's what the Lord is saying in this hour. And so back to my point about the family unit. Some of us need to go back and look at what was sown in our family years ago so that we can now on this side attain the generational promises. Listen, when we cut off some of those generational curses and some of those things in our bloodline, then on this side I can apprehend the generational curses, because don't you know that there is a promise for the children of Abraham? And we are the seed of Abraham, that there is a promise that is laid up for us. And so when we cut away the flesh, come on, draw the bloodline. When we cut away the flesh from this old pattern, from this old line, when we say, you know what, I'm a part of this generation. This is my family line. No, I'm a part of the God line. I'm a part of his generational line. I have been grafted in. I have been grafted into that holy tree, and now that is my bloodline. That's my bloodline. And now I cut ties with everything that came before it. And so I want to say this to you, that I want to look real quickly at this example. And so as I was telling you about the story of Ruth and Boaz, and something about that story just did not sit well in my spirit. There's something about the fact of her going into this man after he had gotten drunk and laying at his feet that just didn't sit right with me. And I thought, do we want to teach our young women to go lay at some man's feet? He's in some space, and she's supposed to hope that when he wakes up, he ain't going to do nothing crazy. We're supposed to hope that he won't kill her. We're supposed to hope that now he wants to marry her. Like, really? Is that what we're doing here? Okay, so let me uncover this for you. But let's look at the generational line of Ruth. Where does her generational line come from? Her generational line comes from, it says that when you look at Ruth 1, what does it tell us? I'm going to flip through it. That was not my intention, but I'll share it so that we have an understanding. Ruth is a Moabite. She's a Moabite, and it says it very clearly. It says, now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land. It says, in a certain man of Bethlehem of Judah, it said, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. So as we go through this, what we find is it says that Ruth is a Moabite. It says they took them wives of the women of Moab. One was Orpah, right? And the other was Ruth. So Ruth is of the lineage of the Moabs. Now, what does that mean to us when we say, okay, the Moabs, okay, well, she's a Moabite, you know? Wherever your family's from, you never think about the history of this name. Now, I want to flip you into Genesis 19. Let's go into Genesis 19. And what do we see in Genesis 19? We see the story of Lot. And in this case, many of you say, oh, and his wife was turned into a pillar of salt. Yes, that's true, but this is not the story I'm telling you. The story I'm telling you is about Lot and his daughters. Lot and his daughters. Remember, I said that the Bible is instructive, but not necessarily prescriptive. It's not prescribing what we should do. So we find that Lot's daughters decide that, hey, Dad, you know what? You've dealt with us wickedly. You've not allowed us to marry. We feel like we're the last of our lot, and there is no hope for us. We're never going to have children. So what do they decide to do? They decide that they're going to go in and they're going to sleep with their dad and make him give them children. Uh-oh. Come on now, listen. Follow me. You got it? You getting there, prophet? Right? So listen, it says in verse 32, this is Genesis 19, come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him that we may preserve the seed of our father. So they feel like they're doing their father a favor. Come on, am I talking about generational curses? So they go into the father, they make him drink wine. The daughter, the firstborn, she conceives, and then the next night her sister goes in and does the same thing. Now listen, it says, thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father, by verse 36. The firstborn bare a son, and she called his name what? She called his name Moab. Moab. Oh, y'all getting me? Are you getting me? Generational curses. So what do we find several generations later? We find the story of Ruth. Now, Ruth is a woman of great stature. She had this husband and he died, and so now she's with Naomi, and then she falls from grace and they don't have anything, and they're trying to find a living. They're trying to get their life together. And so her mother says, he's a really nice man and he's wonderful. You know, this would be great if he's our kinsman, if you go into him. And so what you find is this. She has this idea. Man, I tell you, that she's going to tell, Naomi tells Ruth, go into him. She said, it's good that you go into him and lay at his feet, and he's going to drink. And then go and let him find you at his feet. It says, and when he had eaten and he was drunk, this is in Ruth 3, it said, it came to pass at midnight that the man was afraid, and he turned himself, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. And he said, who are you? Now listen, so this plan was schemed up by Naomi, who says to her, shall I not seek rest for you? Can I find a place for you? But listen, it didn't take Ruth but a minute to agree to this. Because we're talking about generational curses. We're talking about what's in the bloodline. And listen, Ruth is a Moabite. She comes from the tribe of the Moab. She comes from the tribe where a daughter decided to sleep with her father and then finds herself in a place. Come on, they received the sperm from the father's DNA against God's will. Come on, they fulfilled their own will. They fulfilled their own purpose. They decided to go against God's plan. They didn't wait for God to work this thing out. Now, remember, I said that God is a redemptive God. He's a God that comes in and he restores despite the mistakes that we make. So as I said, this word is not prescriptive, it is instructive. So we get the instruction that Ruth has found herself in a place where she's in a tight, constraining place. They don't have a lot of money. So what happens? Instead of continuing to pray to God to intervene, they decide to do it of their own will. Naomi and Ruth come together and they say, you know what? He's going to get drunk. Let him wake up and find you at his feet. Now, if this does not sound like the same thing that the daughters did, they got the father drunk and they went into him while he was drunk. So the same thing is a part of the bloodline, this same deceptive, manipulative spirit. Now listen, I'm not saying that it did not work out for her good because she becomes part of the bloodline of Jesus Christ. Didn't I say that God is a redemptive God, that even when we make mistakes and don't do things honorably or the right way, he comes and he restores and he redeems. But at the end of the day, the way that we go about a thing, we become responsible for. So the way the daughters went about it, though they had healthy children, this comes into the bloodline. And we find Ruth following the same example, finding herself going into a man while he's drunk and finding herself at his feet. It didn't have to work out well for her, but bless God that it did. And so I'm saying in this hour, we recognize that we have a God that's redemptive. He's redeeming. He's a God that says, despite your story, despite where you've come from, I can restore you. I can redeem you. He said, I can transfer my blood through your body so that no longer it will be you, but it will be me that flows through you. No longer will there be this connection to the old way of life and the bondage that you've been used to, the sins that are been committed by those who came before you, the witchcraft and sorcery that your family was tied up in, the drugs and the alcohol that your family was tied up in. So no longer do you have to be a part of that, and no longer does your family line have to reap the fruit from the roots of your past. No longer will you have to reap that fruit. So I wanted to just share that with you. When we read the word, understand that there are many things that are instructive, but there are many stories in the Bible that we're not to follow. And as I said before, we see that if David had been in the right position in the right time, right, he wouldn't have seen Bathsheba. He would have kept himself away from sin. So there's a season and a place now, people of God, where you need to get yourself into position with God so that you can hear instruction in this hour. Listen, the way is narrow, and I believe it's getting more narrow as we go on, but God intends for us to come together. So he intends for us to position and align ourselves. Listen, this is the season of realignment. Can you hear me? Realignment. This is not simply just within our family. This is also within the body of God. God is bringing new connections that weren't fitting before, that for some reason y'all were passing like ships in the night. But God is saying now is the time. Listen, now is the acceptable year of the Lord. Now is the acceptable time. Now is the time to get in position. Get in position. Don't be found out of position. Don't be like Saul. Don't be like Saul, where he thought that sacrifice was better. Because listen, your sacrifice does not reap the blessings that your obedience will. It won't reap the benefits. Listen, when we hear that scripture that says obedience is better than sacrifice, it had to do that he was given instructions, utterly destroy them, utterly. And he decided to keep back, and he said it was because I want to sacrifice to my God. But when God is giving you direct instructions, he said to do it this way. There's a blessing that comes when you do it my way. No, it doesn't make sense to you. He says, but my ways are higher than yours. My thoughts are higher than yours. He says, I know the end at the beginning. I see this thing through. I see it. And I know what's coming. So do it my way. Aren't you tired of reaping the benefits from doing it with your own hands? You know, I done tried this on my own, and each time I've been found wanting. I've come up short. But when I'm ready to do it his way, then I position myself to do it his way. Listen, there are many of us, like God just showed me like this. This is the image he just gave me in my head. There are many of us that keep knocking our head up against the same wall. And the Lord said, how many times are you going to go around that same mountain? And listen, there are some on you that I'm even sensing that are looking for some instruction from God in this hour. And you know what God is saying? He said, have you been faithful to do what I told you to do already? He said, you're waiting on me to speak again. He said, but I'm waiting for you to fully carry out what I told you in the last season. So if you're waiting to hear from me now, you won't until you fully fulfill the instructions I just gave you. Hey, some of y'all are sitting on something right now and you're waiting for God to speak. And God said, I will not until you obey what I told you in the former season. Do it all. Not just a piece of it, do it all. Hey, someone said birthing season. Bless you, Apostle. Yes, it is. We're coming upon the birthing season again, which means to get in position, get ready to bear down and give birth to that new thing. Listen, for many of you, The beginning of this year had great momentum. You had great speed and you were running well. Hey, but something came along the way. Something came along the way and it discouraged you in the path that you were on. You were running well, but something came along the way. And I would say that from the first part of this month, even through the month of June, was momentum and push. But as we got around July and August, something went dry. Something went dry and something went stale. And so if you've been in that place, God is getting ready to blow the chaff off your life. But it's how you position yourself. It's how you press in. And many of you have been asking to go to the next level. You're like, God, take me to a new dimension. Take me to another realm. And God said that requires a greater fight on your part, a greater push into my presence. It requires some sacrifice on your part. He said, what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to push back away from? What are you willing to turn over? Perhaps your plate. What are you willing to spend some time away from? Perhaps that's Facebook. What are you willing to do? What are you going to sow into this season to get to the next level? Because listen, yes, the challenge is great. He's trying to equip you for the next level. Listen, there's a new kind of prayer. There's a new kind of warfare. There's a new kind of discernment and awareness and wisdom that you're going to need for the next level. And the only place that you're going to get that is in the proper position. Hey, proper position. Hands up, face to the ground. It's on your face. It's in his presence. It's hands up with surrender. That's the only way you're going to get there. Hey, he wants his power to flow through you in this season. The Lord is tired of us talking the talk and not walking the walk. I'm saying that, listen, that yes, there are character issues in the body. And I need to say this. Listen, when we think about our leaders, something has happened with the fear of the Lord. Can I say that? You know, that's funny too. And my mom is on here. I got to bless God for this apostle, this woman of God in my life. Because listen, she used to always talk about the fear of the Lord. I kept saying, well, if I fear God so much, I won't be able to move. And there was something about that like was killing my flesh. It was killing my flesh. And listen, but let my flesh go ahead and die. Let my flesh go ahead and die. Because there's something about the fear of the Lord. There's something about fearing God that brings power and authority. Listen, when Peter began to preach in Acts, listen, he said, why are y'all amazed that we have touched this man and we have lifted him up? It wasn't us. Why are you so amazed? He said, this Jesus that you crucified and you tried to kill arose again, and it's through him that we do these mighty things. It's not us. Let it kill your flesh. There's something about the fear of the Lord. There's something about fearing him again that brings his power through the earth. Yes, it is the beginning of wisdom. So leaders, listen, if you feared the Lord, you wouldn't treat his people so badly. If you feared the Lord, you wouldn't lie and manipulate. If you feared the Lord, you wouldn't try to control everything. If you feared the Lord, come on, if you feared the Lord, there's something about the fear of the Lord. It rightly aligns us. So in this season, God is saying, position yourself. He's saying, yes, I'm beginning to shake your family tree. Yes, I'm beginning to shake anything that can be shaken in this season. Yes, he said, yes, I'm turning up my fire in this hour. And he said, and those who will be able to harness my fire in this season are those who position themselves properly. Is your head down? Are your hands up in surrender? Are you in position so that God can flow through you? That it won't be you, but it'll be him flowing through you. Hey, Brandon, God is saying in this hour, we have got to stop focusing on our purpose. What am I saying about that? Our purpose, our agenda, our program. Good to see you. We got to stop worrying about and we got to start getting on his program. What does he want to do on the earth? The things that he wants to do won't have any attachment with our name. Are you hearing me? Some of the stuff that God wants to do on this earth knows you. No one will ever know. No one will know that it was you. There are some warriors that God is positioning in intercessory prayer in this hour so that new things will be birthed in the earth. God is positioning them. He's turning up his fire on the inside. And some of you can't even leave your prayer closet before God is calling you back in. Those of you who are positioned upon the wall, don't get off the wall. Stay on the wall. Though it doesn't look like anything is shifting in the natural, let me tell you, the heavenlies are shaking. It's shifting in the spirit realm. And we're going to see it in the natural. So don't give up. Don't focus on what you're seeing with your eyes. There are many things that God is doing in this hour. So let me tell you, yes, he is beginning to go through our bloodline. He's uncovering and exposing generational curses so that we can apprehend those generational promises. He's doing it in this hour. Bless you, prophet. He is doing it in this hour. Come on. So in one hand, come on, have your word of God in one hand, and in the other, keep your weapon. We're going to continue to build. We're not going to get distracted with things at our side. We're going to stay focused. We're going to stay focused. And so I wanted to tell you that the word of God is instructive, but not necessarily prescriptive. Everything we read, we are not to follow. You know, I use for an example the story of Esther. I love the story of Esther, but when we uncover this story, we find that in essence, she was a glorified, I don't want to call her a call girl, but she was a concubine. Esther was a concubine who becomes a queen, but she's a concubine. She's one of many. And that's her story. She was sex trafficked. They picked her up. They picked up a bunch of virgin women and allowed the king to decide who he's going to marry. You know, so everything that we read is not something that we're supposed to follow after, but it's instructive, because at the end of the day, God said, I'm going to redeem. I am going to restore. I'm going to recover. He said, I'm going to take your broken past, your broken places, the places where you've not apprehended my grace in your life, the places where you're still bent over and broken, the mistakes that you still make, the things that you're still addicted to, the ways that your mind is still working on you and working in your past, all of those things. He said, I'm going to use it for my glory. Come on. I'm going to use it for my glory. So yes, hold your position. Get in position, those of you who are out of position. And listen, let me just say this. I'm going to make this so clear to you. If your leaders are out of order, that's no excuse for you. That's no excuse for you. If your leaders are not doing the right thing and they're making mistakes, and even those of you who might blame your mom or your dad, and my mom didn't do this and my dad didn't do this, well, by the time you get about 25 or 30, baby girl, son, you need to grow up. Grow up. Because at some point, listen, everybody's been hurt, abused, lied on, talked about. We've gone through a lot of things in our life, but at some point, God said, okay, now shake it off. Take the lesson and now move forward. Comes a point that God requires us to take responsibility for where we are. Yes, you can blame. Yes, that happened to you. Yes, I was raped. Yes, I was molested. Yes, I went through that. And at some point, I came to a God, an awesome God that says, listen, work out your own. That's it. Listen, come on. Listen, he requires that of us. He says, now that I'm going to come to this great and mighty God who's a redemptive God who can restore my soul, I'm going to go to him and I'm going to allow him to pluck out the broken pieces in my life, and I'm going to allow him to mend me. I'm going to allow him to turn every scar into a star and turn every broken place into a well of healing for somebody else. At some point, we got to take responsibility for ourselves. So if your leaders are out of order, then that doesn't stop you from being on your wall and praying. Come on. If your leaders are not doing things right, that doesn't stop you from researching on your own and getting your own training until God says to go. Listen. All of a sudden in the body, we become weak. What is this? We become weaklings. And somebody hurt my feelings. And somebody said this about me. And they did that. Yeah, they did that in the world. That didn't stop you from going to the club. Yeah, they talked about you at the club one week, but I tell you, you ran as fast as you could to get to the club the next week. Am I right? Hello? Am I wrong? Yeah. Right? Yeah, they talked about you, but you were still back at the club. So, but all of a sudden, endure hardness. That's it. Endure it. Yes, as a good soldier, say it. So there's something how all of a sudden we come into the kingdom, we come into Christ, and we all of a sudden get weak. And my feelings and everything and what they said, and I can't go on from here. What is that about? You know, when you was in the world, you was knocking folks out. You were taking blows and come on, and taking names. But all of a sudden, now you don't understand how to put up your spiritual dukes. You don't understand that for this call upon your life that you're going to suffer. But listen, but it says, take heart, because he's overcome the world. That the places where you've been and your brokenness, he said, I've overcome it all. He said, yeah, they talked about me. Yes, they scourged my back. Yes, they beat me. He said, yeah, they spit on me. They did all of that to me. And he said, and yet what did I do? I was about my Father's business. He said, I didn't let it distract me from my course and my purpose. Come on, we didn't care. Say it, say it. And now we get sensitive. Now all of a sudden we get sensitive and we get emotional and every little thing. And the pastor didn't call me back. And, you know, and I've been trying to make an appointment and he won't see me. And I think he's jealous of my anointing. I think he's afraid of the call on my life and all of that foolishness. At the end of the day, the man or woman of God that the Lord has put over a ministry, God put them there, not you. So you won't ever take them out of there. And God will not remove them unless God decides. So that's not your concern. Your concern is not that. Your concern is, okay, God, what am I supposed to learn here? While I'm here, before you remove me, God, what am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to see? Some of it that you see is out of order. So in some places you share and you say as much as you can, you share and then you pray. Come on, mad at them. Yes, yes, yes. You learn. So then when you get your well, you've been faithful over another one's well. You've been faithful. You've sown good seeds. Listen, it's cracking me up this day of how many people are, I don't want to say arriving because arriving sounds like that it really happened. They're calling themselves arrived. People are getting themselves ordained. People are getting themselves in positions for churches. People are doing all of these things. They're doing it. They're doing it with themselves, in themselves, and will find themselves by themselves when the time comes. Because if you didn't sow good seeds on your way up the ladder, then when you have to allow people to be there for you to serve and no one wants to be there and people are not faithful, people are going to treat you the same way you treated your leaders. Ouch. Ouch. So however you treated leaders on your way up the ladder, when you get where you're going, your people are going to treat you the same way. Now, y'all may say, oh, I don't know that that's true. But let's look at it this way. Many of y'all are parents, right? Many of y'all have children. Were you the good child or were you the rebellious child? How are your children today? I'm just going to leave y'all with that, right? So the same way it happens. You're like, man, I was a sneaky child. And now I got this one. Lord, oh, God, come on. I don't know what's happening, right? Bless you. You know what I'm saying? So the same way that you treat, and I'm not saying that all leaders have been honorable. I'm not saying that all leaders have good integrity or good character. I'm not saying that, but let me say this to you too. Thank you, Jesus, for this. God said, but you chose them. What did I tell y'all? To be good fruit inspectors. Be a good fruit inspector. So before I allow my emotions to get me caught up in a good service with a great word and wonderful music, and I'm going to join this church, I'm going to sit back. I'm trying to listen. So as I hear leaders say, come on, repeat after me, come on. I'm like, I'm not repeating, dude. I'm trying to hear you. I'm trying to hear the word. You know, don't start hooping too early before you give me some scriptures, because you've lost me and I will not be coming back. So I'm trying to hear the word. Give me the word. You know, so I'm saying many of you can't complain because you chose those places. So when you talk about your leader, the Lord said you weren't blind. You weren't blind. You walked in here and said this is what you wanted, and so you stayed. So why are you complaining now? Pray for him. Or sit, bless you. Or sit and listen. Discern, pray, use wisdom. My husband and I have been into many ministries where people said after 3 weeks, well, are you going to join? Well, we waited for you to join. And we said, well, why are you waiting on for us to join? We're here, right? Well, yeah, we're wondering when you're going to join. Well, do we need to join? If you can show me in the Bible where it says the right hand of fellowship, where is that in the word, the right hand? No? So I can come and be a part of this body and connect with this body and be there, right? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they'd be like, I'm waiting for you to join. When you going to join? I'm like, don't you see us here every week? Isn't this enough for you? But no, you're waiting on that moment. I said, well, we're waiting to hear from God. When you going to join? When God says to join. But if he doesn't say join, then we're not going. So many of us who find ourselves in places where we are broken down and we are bitter and we are hurt and we are upset. I'm sorry, this is going to wreck y'all theology. You chose that place. Don't blame God for that. God said, if you had been listening to me, I was telling you no. I said, run, and you stayed. That's good to me. That was good to me. The Lord said, run, right? You know, so that's funny. But I'm serious. He said, run, and you're like, I'm joining. The Lord said, no. But we get caught up in emotionalism. Am I right about it? We get caught up in emotionalism. You know, I'm broken. I've been in the club for 6 weeks. I've been drinking with my friends and smoking weed. And now I go to one church service and the prophet in the house tells me all about my life. Oh, Lord, I must need to join this church. And then you find out that the prophet that prophesied to you was just visiting. He don't even go there. Okay? He don't even go there. But we got caught up in the emotion of it. And we decided to do that. And we didn't use any sense. You know, come on, Brandon, you know what I'm saying? And you find yourself in that place. So I'm saying God is telling us to use wisdom. Bless you, Brian. You know, my main point was to just share with you that as you read the word, understand that the word is not prescriptive. It's not prescribing everything that we should do. Learn how to rightly divide your word so that you understand it. Not everything that we see. So I'm saying to you women who are saying, I'm waiting on my Boaz, please just destroy every shirt that says I'm waiting on my Boaz. Just have a bonfire in front of your house. Burn them things up. Sorry, y'all, about the freezing. Is it okay now? So burn your Boaz shirts. You know, please take it off your Facebook page that I'm waiting on my Boaz. You know, and I'm telling y'all, just get out of that. Get out of that. When you spend time, is it still frozen? Y'all let me know. Is it still frozen? Let me know. Y'all good? Tell me good. Is it better? Okay, so we're good? Okay, good. All right. But yeah, so lastly, I'm just saying, so what I gave you and what I described to you, and I gave you some understanding about Ruth. And I'll just say that for those of you who just got on recently, I was talking about generational curses. And the Lord was speaking to me about this season where the spirit of reconciliation is coming into families. You know, I want you to understand. Let's see. Okay. Oh, gosh, I had to go out and come. Okay, so whoever has to go out and come back in if you need to for the screen. But if we're good now, all right. So just want to say, are y'all good? Are y'all good so I can wrap up? I'm so sorry for the in and out, and I know that it's probably a frozen screen. Okay, you're good. All right. So what I was saying is this, that the Lord is coming into the family. He's coming into the family unit. But God is not simply looking at your family that is sitting together as a body now. The Lord is looking at your generation. He's looking down through the years. He's looking from the beginning of time when your family started. And so the Lord is coming in. The spirit of reconciliation is coming upon the earth. No, don't buy that book, Miss Ebony. Don't buy the book. And so the Lord is coming in with that. But listen, in order for us to receive the spirit of reconciliation, he has to shake the foundations of this particular union, this family, this unit, this, I don't want to, what is the Lord? What are you trying to tell me, Lord? He needs to shake this union, this family. And I'm trying to understand. He's saying to me, it's like a tribe. So he's going down like through your tribe line, from the lineage. That's what he's saying, the lineage. So he's going all the way down from the first beginning of where your family began all the way to now. So he's not just looking at what we see today. He's going down through all of the curses, the mistakes, right? The missteps that our family made. He's going down through all of that, so that he can deal with the curses, the mistakes, the things that were sown into our bloodline, the things that were sown into us. And we find ourselves making some of the same mistakes because it started way before us. And so I used for an example the story of Ruth. And I wanted to explain the fact that she was a Moabite. Ruth was a Moabite. But when we find, where did the Moabs come from? Where the Moabites originated from? They originated when Lot's two daughters decided to sleep with their father. They realized that there were no men. They assumed that they would never find a man, and that their dad's line would be ended. And so they determined that let's go sleep with our dad. They allowed him to get drunk. They went in with them. The first daughter gave birth to a son that she named Moab. So we find that the Moabites come through this line of deception, come through this line of manipulation. They come through this line of perversion. And so then you find that you have Ruth in a place where she is now going into Boaz, who is drunk, laying down, and she goes and lays at his feet. So we see some of these same things that are perpetuated in our line from a mistake in a way that came from our generation. And so God is dealing with generational curses. And in order to bring the spirit of reconciliation, which shall also be the generational blessings that will come upon us, God is beginning to shake up the foundation of the family. He's beginning to shake up those ties that bind. He's beginning to shake up the places that we've not been walking rightly with each other. He's beginning to shake it up. Listen, there's some family members that it's hard to get along with, but God is bringing us together. He's bringing them into right standing with them. He is literally, what the Lord is doing, he's hedging them in. He is corralling them in. Some of those relatives that are just wild and lawless, God is tightening. Listen, that gate that they've been running around free in, he is causing them to go into a tight pen. He is cutting off their avenue of escape, so that he can get their attention. So allow God to do that in your family. God is beginning to do that. He is hedging them in so they have no escape, that they're faced with making a decision for him or against him finally. God is doing that in this hour, in this season. So be encouraged. This was just a little scope I needed to get out of my system. I wanted to just send y'all encouragement. I just wanted to drop that on you. Hey, you've been feeling the heat? Come on. All of our families need that. There's some folks in our family that we've been praying for forever. We've been tearing for. Many of us have poured our hard-earned dollars into, and it's looked like an unending well, trying to help and assist and trying to keep them on their feet. And every time you turn around, they're making the same mistakes. And you like, man, I just put hand over foot trying to help them, and they continue to make the same mistakes. Well, God said, let me have them. He said, let them come to the end of themselves. He said, then they'll be faced with me. Let me have them. So God bless y'all. I just wanted to deposit that really quick. Bless you, Rhonda. Bless you, Pamela, that I was talking earlier. Yes, come on. Tell your friends. Y'all not looking for no Boaz. No, you're not. No, and I'm saying, come on. I'd rather have a Paul any day, right? I'd rather have a Paul. I'd rather even have a Peter. Come on. Look at Peter in the book of Acts. Woo! So, I mean, come on. We have better options than that. So, let's not look for Boaz. And not that Boaz was not a good man. That's not my point. But I'm saying let's look at the way that she went to get her Boaz. And at the end of the day, I don't want it to be said that I did some clandestine thing, some deceptive, underhanded thing while somebody was drunk to coerce them to be my husband. or a man, I did this backhanded roundabout thing behind someone's back. Yes, clandestine, right? I did this deceptively manipulative thing to get this woman to marry me. Yeah, that's not a reward. But like I said, we have a redemptive God, and at the end of the day, he's even able to take our missteps, bless you. He's able to take our missteps and redeem them. He's our redeemer. He's a restorer. God bless you. Yeah. God bless you. So thank you, guys. That's all I have for you today. And Faith, let me tell you, sweetheart, don't look for your husband. He's going to be looking for you. Right? Come on, he that finds a wife finds a good thing. But listen, men, you find your wives. Women, we choose you. So I got to leave it on that good note. Listen, men find wives, but women, we choose the men. Just like I said about that same church thing, right? So the same way, don't go into a relationship with your eyes like this. Don't be in romance heaven. Don't be in romance heaven. He bought me some flowers and he does this and he always got holes in his shoe. But you know, he's so nice and kind and don't seem like he working all day long. But he's a really good man and he seems to love the Lord. But he don't drive a car and I'm always taking him play. But he's a good man. No. We're going to go into this thing with our eyes wide open. Eyes wide open. Just like when you go to a church, you're going to listen, right? You're going to use your ears to hear. Listen to God. Do not be moved by emotionalism. There may be a good word. Go back a few times. That's my mom. Check the shoes out. That's a fact. But you know what I'm saying? So we're going to go back the same way that we do with churches. We're going to listen. We're going to listen. We're going to become those expert fruit inspectors. I hear what you're saying. It sounds real good, but I want to see the fruit. You say you're a church for the community. Do you have community outreach? No, y'all don't do anything in the community. Y'all don't serve the homeless. Y'all don't monthly. Y'all don't give anything away. You don't go out. Y'all don't go feed the homeless. You don't go meet the people in the jails. You don't go to the nursing home. You don't go to the hospital, but you're a community church. Oh. Okay. So, like I said, let's become expert fruit inspectors. I want to see your fruit. Nothing else matters. Come on, run, right? I want to see your fruit. And so even in your relationships, don't let yourself be swayed. I don't know why I'm led to say this to you. In relationships, it takes, listen, 3 to 6 months for you to see the real person. And I mean glimpses of the real person, not even the full real person. It takes 3 to 6 months for you to see glimpses of the real person. So if you've slept with that joker in the second month, you have stopped seeing. I'm so serious. Because now you've got a soul tie, and even if you do see the wrong things, your foolish brain is going to talk you out of the wrong thing that you saw. Yes. The 4 seasons, that's good. So see them through some time. Take 3 to 6 months to see, to determine, to figure that thing out. Yes, floating off emotion. Because I'm telling you, as soon as you sleep with a person, man, woman, if you're a man and you sleep, as soon as you sleep with that woman, your process for weighing out what they're really like is gone. And I know some of you guys have been in the same position. I've slept with her. I don't even like this chick anymore, but I can't get rid of her because I'm connected to her. I don't even want to be with her, but I can't seem to get away from her because I've created a soul tie. And I know that's happened with men too. And I know it happens with women easily, more easily with women. So when you find yourself in that place, listen, I'm trying to tell you wisdom. You need that 3 to 6 months. And I would hedge on the side of the 6 months to see, to really see. Listen, I used to be called before I got married. I'm not even bothered by this anymore. And people said it, they said it trying to put me down. But I actually would wear this with a badge of honor. They called me a hire and fire woman. They called me a hire and fire woman. And why'd they call me that? Because I would meet people and it would be good. And we would talk and we'd spend time. And then after about a month or two, I'd be like, nope, And I would be done. And they'd say, he's a good man. I'm like, yep, for somebody else. And they're like, but he's not, yep, but nope, for somebody else. Because my responsibility was to find out quickly if this was a connection or not. And if it's not, I'm going to release you to somebody else. And I'm going to release you also so that my doors are open for my blessing to come my way too. So I was hire and fire. I'm going to meet you. We're going to talk. We're going to connect. And listen, no, we're not going in the same direction. No, we don't want the same things. Nope. I met a guy who was wonderful, loved the Lord and everything, but all he kept saying was, as soon as, so if you are stronger than me spiritually, he's like, well, as soon as I get up on my feet, then I'll take over the church. I said, what are you talking about? And I said, so if the Lord called me to be a pastor, he said, well, the Lord would only call you to be a pastor until I get up to speed. And I was like, what Bible are you reading? I'm like, oh, nah, dude, Put him in friend category real quick. I'm like, we going to be friends because we can't agree. And that's going to be a whole bunch of hell. Yes, Hell in the house if we got together. No. So if the person you're with can't see the vision of God on your life and in your life, they can't see the blessing, men or women, they can't see it. They don't see where God is taking you. No. I'm going to set you free. And the best thing I can do is set you free before I touch you. Because if I touch you, even when I don't like you, I'm going to be stuck to you. And I don't like you. I know you're not good for me. It's like, but I can't get away from you because of this soul tie. So give it space, give it room to see. And I'm telling you, many of you going to say, oh, thank God. Like I remember like months later, I'm like, oh, thank God. I did not mess with that dude. I didn't sleep with him. Thank God. Whew. When I found out he was really crazy, like really, really crazy, like that took 6 months. And I'm like, oh, thank God. I could have made a mistake. When you find that really, really crazy, like, no, not just like a little silly, but like certifiable, like need the room with the pads, right? Right? They need to be yoked up. Like, yeah. When you find that, like there are a lot of sociopaths out there, right? Not quite the psychopath. The psychopaths will kill you, right? The sociopaths will tell you a lie, but believe it, right? Like that their dad was not an astronaut because you met their dad and their dad was a drunk, right? And he just shined shoes on the weekend, right? So then he tells you, yeah, my dad went and he studied to be an astronaut. And you look at him, you go, they go, oh yeah, you met my dad. Yeah, I met your dad. You telling the wrong person that story. Yeah, 5150. No, wrong person. Wrong person. Yeah. So there are sociopaths where they literally will tell you a lie and they will believe it. They'll believe it. It's real. I'm a millionaire. And my boat, that somebody like is working on my boat and my cars are in the shop, and the mansion I live in, somebody's cleaning it right now. No, dude. No, dude, you living in the Motel 6 over there, right? And, no, dude, and you driving, that Pinto right there. That's you. Not the vision. Yeah, that's you, right? So not in reality at all. All right. So, but I'm saying, so give some time, give some time. Little breathing room, right? So you can see how these jokers really are. So, yeah, there you go. That's it. He said, so I need to stay with you. I need to stay with you for a few weeks until my place get worked out and, and can I drive your car? Because, my car's on the fritz a little bit and I'm trying to work some things out. No, dude, you can't work some things out with me. No. And my rule is this. Meet me where I am. If I've got my own apartment, have your own apartment. If I've got my own car, have your own car. No, a bus pass is not going to work. I love the dudes with a bus pass. Thank God that you're going to get where you need to go. But meet me where I am. Now, did I say he had to drive a Lexus? You don't have to drive a VW because I drive a VW, right? But do you have a car? You got your own, right? You're not going to be driving my car all day. Right? You're not going to be using all my gas, right? You're not going to be hanging out in my house, watching my cable, running up my light bill. I'm sorry, right? You're not going, no, we're not going to do that. No, we're not. You have your place that I could come visit sometimes and you can come visit my place sometimes, but you're not going to be kicking it in my crib all day where I'm working. We're not doing that. Come meet me where I am. Now, when you get married and your husband loses his job or your wife loses her job, then you're together to undergird each other, right? Come on, or eat my food. Come on. Come on, Minister Ron. Come on. I got some special food. You and your food, okay? Right? You know, you got some, hey, that was my mangoes. I bought them mangoes. I didn't need you eating my, yes, it is another scope. I didn't need you eating all my mangoes, right? All right, y'all. I'm rolling into another one. Whew, I know he hungry. He hungry, so he should use his money to go get him some food, right? So bless God for those who are married, but bless God for those of y'all. Yes, mangoes, girl, come on. They're my mangoes. I got some big old mangoes up in there. So, whoo, thank you, Jesus. All right, that was funny. I know y'all. Okay, just laugh, okay? Laughter is so good. It's so good. But some of these things, I mean, when you look back on it, it's just, yeah, don't touch the mangoes. Come on, there's some things. You know, and there's some things that you learn even when you get married. You got to hide it in the bottom of the refrigerator in the corner, in the back, right? That one last piece of cake. You like, dang, every time I came home, another piece of cake is gone. So I got to take this little piece and hide it in the bottom of the refrigerator in the corner, right? Because I want you eating that little piece, right? So there's just some things that food is food, you know? Come on, you know how that is. It is, right? Because you won't get that piece. You like, and they didn't even think about leaving me a piece. Y'all ate it all. Really? Really? Yeah, James knows. He knows. He knows. There's some stuff up there. And he like, how you eat my stuff and then I can't eat your stuff? I'm like, because you don't replace my stuff with the same thing. Because see, James will eat some of my stuff. And then okay, so let's say I bought something like beans or something, some special black beans with whatever. James will buy me a can that just says beans on it. Okay? I'm like, how I get the generic brand? You ate the real premium brand, but when you went to go buy my stuff, you didn't bought the darn generic. I didn't buy myself the generic. He said it's the same thing. No, because if it was the same thing, you would have bought yourself them nasty plain beans and you would have ate that and you would have left my premium alone. So I can say that even in our marriage, that like he has learned that there are certain things, that there's a way that I eat and cook and whatever, and I would have to say I know in some ways he's come up in his eating and stuff like that, because there's certain things he'll turn his nose up now, and it's funny because I think years ago it wouldn't have been important, but for me it's just the way that I eat, and so it's just funny now. But there's certain things, because I'm like, because even with apples, Honeycrisp apples, right? And I'll have, one that's, he'll have a huge one and I'll have a small one. And if I eat his, he's like, you left me the small one. It turns into this whole funny, silly thing. But I'm like, but see, mine is organic. And so that means mine's healthier. So it's okay, foolishness. Y'all didn't need to know all of that. All right, let me get off this scope. I love y'all. Bless you. Feel free to email me at drdeandrea@gmail.com. You can check my website, drdeandrea.com. Feel free to inbox me on Facebook if we're connected. God bless you. Have an amazing Sunday. I'll be in touch with y'all soon. My flyer, I'm getting ready to post. Yes, catch the replay. I'm getting ready to post the picture, little flyer for the event that's happening in New York. So in New York, I will be there. Hey, Crystal. Oh my God. God bless you. Good to see you. Good to see you. So glad you're on. I know. So people are cracking up. I know this has been funny. But the beginning was real deep. Okay. So I got silly here at the end. For those of y'all here at the end, check the beginning, because that was the deep stuff. Check hey, Letitia, check the beginning. Check the replay. Bless you. The beginning was deep. Oh, bless you. I'm so glad you could come on here. Let me see. Annette, God bless you. Thank you for being on. Yes, come on, the mangoes. Matter of fact, I'm serious. As soon as I get off here, I have a big, huge one, and it's perfect. So I'm about to have that in a minute. All right, back to what I'm saying. I'm going to be in New York. I'm going to be in Utica, New York, October 18th and 19th, and I'm really excited. The Lord downloaded a lot on me today, just as I was sitting. My husband was playing outside. Yes, please check the replay, Letitia. or Letitia, I never know how to pronounce it. My husband was playing for Church Under the Bridge. There's a homeless ministry here in Austin, and he was playing his bass downtown. So while they're playing, the music's loud. I have my headphones on. Okay, Tisha. Amen. I'll call you Tisha. Or Tisha. See, still it's the sound. I'll say Tisha. Anyway, so while he was playing, the Lord was just downloading to me about the message for New York. I'm excited. So I'll be preaching 2 nights, and they're going to be 2 different messages. And I'm just really excited with what the Lord has given me, like 1 and like part 2, which will be its own thing separately. And I probably will Periscope it or something so y'all can see it. But I'm super excited about New York. Bless you guys. Be encouraged. I want to say this to you. The fire is rising. It is rising. Do not be afraid of the fire. Listen, get in the fire. Bless you. Get in the fire. Don't be afraid of the fire. The fire is rising, but do not be afraid of it. The fire is a purifying fire. It is a refining fire. It's refining us. He is equipping us in this hour, in this season. The Lord has said to me, the apostolic call in this season, he said, is for you to make sure that you're equipping, that you're training, and that you're launching out. You're activating and you're launching them out. That is the responsibility in this hour, which means the fire is going to be turned up on your life. In order to be equipped for what God has called you to do, he's going to light a fire on the inside. He's going to light a fire around you. And sometimes that will include affliction, but do not get out of the fire. Stay in the middle, in the center of that fire. Position yourself, seat yourself in a position where you're looking directly at God. Seat yourself so that God can seat you in heavenly places. But you must be in position in this hour. Do not get out of alignment with the Lord. So New York is happening where the dates again are October 18th and 19th. It is a time of refreshing in New York. I'll be preaching there 2 nights, October 18th and 19th. It's in Utica, New York. I will post it on my Facebook. I will post it also on my Twitter so that y'all will have it. You'll be able to see it. So for those of you who are anywhere near the New York area, I'm inviting you to come out. I'm expecting God to do some great things. I'm expecting miracle signs and wonders. I'm expecting great deliverance. I'm expecting for folks to be activated and launched out. I'm expecting to allow, God said that he's made some people keys, that not simply that we have the keys, and God has called me a key, so it's my role to unlock what's on the inside, that it might be activated, and God might be able to use you in this season. It's no longer, and it's time out for the warehouse mentality, that we're warehousing people in our homes, meaning the churches in our homes. We're no longer going to warehouse you. Our job is to equip you and set you out so that you're doing the work of the Lord. It's to equip you and to set you out. That's our responsibility. And if we've done anything less than that, we've done short of our work. And our work is to make sure that you're equipped to go on to the next level. I expect many of you to supersede me in the prophetic. I expect many of you to supersede me in the apostolic. And I expect many of you to supersede me in the gift of teaching. I expect many of you to supersede me in the heart of the shepherd, because those are the things that I walk in. Those are the things that are important to me. I expect you to supersede me. Greater, 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 not lesser. I expect you to do greater than me. So anyway, with that, I love you all. Please catch the replay. Bless you. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Check the replay because I did some teaching on that. Wanted to give you some things. Bless you, Brandon. Love you all. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Rhonda, for the exhortation today. Sharing, teaching with you just really lit a fire under me to share this tonight. So thank you for that. I love you all, and I'll be back again soon. God bless. Bye.